Kayameka grew up in the bustling city of Lagos, Nigeria, with a family that was tight-knit and loving, but the expectations of her parents always felt like a heavy weight on her shoulders. Her father, Mr. Chibuza, was a successful businessman with a high standard for excellence, while her mother, Mrs. Chibuza, was a loving but firm woman who believed in discipline and upholding tradition. They were proud of their achievements, but their dreams for Kayameka were always grander than what she had envisioned for herself. Kayameka, the eldest of 3 children, was expected to excel in everything she did. From a young age, she was enrolled in the best schools, tutored in the evenings, and pressured to pursue a career in law or medicine, professions that were respected and secure in her parents' eyes. But Kayameka wasn't sure if she wanted any of it. She loved painting, photography, and writing, but those passions were often dismissed as mere hobbies. Her family thought it was just a phase, something she'd eventually grow out of. As she grew older, Kayameka found herself struggling to live up to the expectations placed on her. She finished her secondary school education with excellent grades and entered the University of Lagos to study law, as her parents had wished. But despite her success, she felt an emptiness inside, a sense of being disconnected from who she truly was. Kayameka spent the first year of university buried in textbooks, trying to keep up with her classmates while also enduring the pressure of family expectations. Her grades were good, but something inside her began to stir. She couldn't shake the feeling that she was living someone else's life, and every time she picked up a paintbrush or wrote in her journal, it felt like she was being pulled in 2 directions. One day, during the long summer break, Kayameka took a trip to her grandmother's village in Abia State, a rural area far from the city's noise and rush. Her grandmother, a woman full of wisdom and grace, had always been a source of comfort to Kayameka. She was different from her parents in many ways. She didn't pressure Kayameka or tell her what to do. Instead, she encouraged her to explore the world, to seek happiness, and to embrace who she truly was. While there, Kayameka met a local artist named Obi, who lived in a small, humble home near the village's outskirts. Obi was an older man with deep wrinkles etched into his face, and his hands were callous from years of painting. He had lived a simple life, but he was content. Obi's art was full of life, bursting with vibrant colors that seemed to tell stories without words. Kayameka was immediately drawn to his work. She spent days watching him paint, mesmerized by the way he could express emotions with just a few brushstrokes. One evening, as they sat under the stars, Obi told her his story. "I was like you once," Obi said, his voice soft but firm. "I had dreams, but I was told I should do something practical, something that would guarantee me a future. My family wanted me to be a teacher, but I knew my heart was elsewhere. It took years, but I finally found the courage to follow my passion." Kayameka listened intently, feeling a connection to Obi that she hadn't felt with anyone before. "You mustn't live for others, Kayameka. Your life is your own. If you want to be an artist, be one. If you want to write, write. Don't let fear or the opinions of others stop you. You owe it to yourself to live your truth." Those words resonated deep within Kayameka's heart, and she knew that she had been holding herself back. The next day, Obi gave her a canvas and some paint. "Try it," he said with a smile. "You might just discover something about yourself." Kayameka hesitated but then took the brush in her hand. The first stroke was awkward, but as she continued to paint, a sense of freedom washed over her. For the first time in years, she felt like she was doing something that belonged to her, something that expressed who she really was. The days spent in the village were transformative for Kayameka. With Obi's encouragement, she spent hours painting, writing, and reflecting on her life. She began to realize that the expectations of her family didn't define her. She didn't have to follow the path they had laid out for her. She could create her own journey, one that was true to herself. However, when Kayameka returned to Lagos, the pressure from her parents returned. Her mother called her often, asking about her studies and reminding her of the importance of securing a stable job after graduation. Her father spoke about the family business and suggested she consider working there once she completed her degree. Kayamika felt torn. She knew that she couldn't continue living a life that wasn't her own, but she also didn't want to disappoint her parents. One evening, she had a conversation with her mother that would change everything. Kayamika, her mother said, her voice stern but loving. You've always been so gifted. I've never doubted that you will succeed. But I worry that you're wasting your potential. You can paint in your free time, but you need to focus on your future. Law is a respectable profession. It's the right choice for you. Kayamika's heart pounded as she tried to find the right words. She loved her mother dearly, but she knew that she couldn't follow the path her parents had chosen for her. Mom, I appreciate everything you've done for me. You've given me everything I could ever want, but I can't keep pretending. I don't want to be a lawyer. I want to be an artist. I want to create, to paint, to write. I want to follow my heart. Her mother was silent for a moment. Kayamika could hear the soft sound of her mother's breathing on the other end of the phone. Then, her mother spoke, her voice surprisingly calm. I see. I've always wanted what's best for you, Kayamika. And I think I've been so focused on what I believe is best that I forgot to ask you what you wanted. Kayamika's heart skipped a beat. It wasn't the response she had expected. I'm not happy, Mom, she confessed, her voice trembling. I've been living for you and Dad, and I've ignored what makes me happy. I want to be an artist. I want to live my truth. Her mother sighed, and then, to Kayamika's surprise, she said, if this is what you want, then I support you. I'll be here for you, no matter what. But I hope you'll be happy with your choice. Kayamika felt a weight lift off her chest. It was a moment of liberation, the moment she realized that her mother's love for her was unconditional, even if her choices were different from what she had expected. With her parents' blessing, Kayamika began to take her art more seriously. She dedicated herself to painting and writing, and soon, her work began to gain attention. She started showcasing her pieces in local galleries, and her blog filled with heartfelt stories and poems attracted readers from around the world. She wasn't just creating art, she was telling her story, sharing her journey of self-acceptance and love. But it wasn't just her parents who had to accept her choices, it was Kayamika herself. She had spent so much time trying to live up to the expectations of others that she had forgotten to listen to her own heart. Now, she was finally free to embrace who she was, and with that freedom came a deep sense of peace. In the end, Kayamika realized that the most important love she could give was the love she had for herself. It was a love that wasn't bound by the expectations of others, a love that allowed her to follow her own path, no matter how unconventional it might have seemed. Her journey wasn't easy, and it wasn't without its struggles. But it was hers, and that made all the difference. And as she looked back on the years of doubt and fear, she knew that she had found the most important truth of all, that the greatest love story was the one she had with herself.